Hello, good evening, everybody. I hope all of you are good. Welcome back after the weekend, and I really hope you would have practiced something in the weekend. And it's a really good start of the class. We have got somebody with the good news that she has got her result. Congratulations, Lata, from all of us. All the very best for your future. And considering that this was your first attempt, it calls for a double celebration. So where are you based in, Lata? You in Sydney? Oh, wait, let me try to unmute you if I can. Yes, Lata, if you want, you can unmute yourself now. Okay, guys, am I audible?
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, dear. You're welcome. All the very best. Congratulations from all of us.
Thank you.
And you must have done really well that you have got your result in the very first attempt. It really means a lot to you as well as to us.
Yeah, special thanks to you, ma'am, because I'm reading poor, I'm poor in reading section. I attend all the classes. I go through all the videos of reorder paragraph, especially reorder paragraph and filling the blanks. I was literally scared after coming out from the test as well. I didn't expect that I did that great. So
But the
I'm so
score was really
happy.
good. Very
Yeah.
well done. But we really hope. So you needed your score for what purpose was it?
It's for skill assessment. For I did accounting, so I have to get each band 7 so that I can go further.
To
I
get
can be
your
further.
skill assessments done. Okay, well
Yeah.
done. This would be sorted now.
Yeah, I actually the tension, the biggest tension I get relief from that.
Very well done. Very well done. So, how was the test otherwise? Did you find the test easy, medium, difficult? What level it was?
It was medium. I did the reading section completely. I did how you told us to do, each and everything. First, I follow all the things that I used to note down all the things, and I just review before going to the class in early morning because I had exam on 8 a.m. So I review all those points exactly there, and then I went there. Everyone was in test say hall as well. Everyone is looking their paper, everything. But I'm relaxed. I just focused on one thing, that I have to get marks. I didn't think anything. Everyone is doing their, I think, essay rules, looking their copies. But I think the most important things that we need to stay calm so that we can do better. Yeah, the exam was medium.
Only when you are calm, you're able to use your brain properly. If your brain is not, is, nervous, is distracted, and it's not calm, you will never be able to realize your potential. And how were the dictations? Were they easy or difficult?
That right from dictation one?
Yes.
I got 3 total in 3, 3 total. And one of them from portal. So it was easy, and next two are also easy. I didn't find it too difficult.
Okay, not too difficult.
Yeah, not too difficult for right from dictations. It was almost 10, 11, 12 words. 10,
Okay,
12
that
and
should be
13
fine.
words. Yeah.
12, 13 words should be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind, Lata. Thank you so much for coming here. It really means a lot, and all the very best for your future. Do let us know
Thank you
if
so
you need
much.
any help anytime in future also. We will be there.
Thank you so much.
No worries,
Thank
dear. No
you.
worries.
Bye.
Here. Okay, and all the students have joined, and let's begin with today's test. So she was looking for 7, Deepika. So she wanted 7 for her assessment. And here we have the first question on the screen. You have 2.5 minutes. Guys, it's very important. The students who are giving the test now, I generally keep asking them about time management. And only those who manage the time right from the very beginning, they are able to clear the exam in a good way. Because we generally are slow in the beginning. When we are slow in the beginning, by the end we don't have enough time and then we rush, and that is when we lose all the momentum, and there's no point of doing half of the exam good. So please be mindful about time when you practice. I have said it a number of times, I give extra time, like I sometimes give 3 minutes because there are students who join in between. So I just want everybody to participate, everybody to try, but you should have your timers on. Keep yourself in a limited time frame of 2 to 2.5 minutes, and try that you are never taking 2.5 minutes. You should be taking less than 2.5 minutes for each question. Okay, so the first question on the screen, please time yourself and put your answers, and please do participate, all of you. All right, should be done by now. Post your answers, those who haven't. Okay, let's discuss. One mistake a lot of you have done commonly. Rest you have done well. Sakti, please note the basic grammar things you're missing on them. Lavisha, why are you so late? Although the birth of the English novel is to be seen in the first half of the 18th century, dash in the work of this person, and this person, it is with this fourth person. So there were 1, 2, 3 people. They say, although the birth is seen in their work, comma, that means with although, the comma should be read as but it is with the fourth person that the novel dash its distinctively modern character. So all 4 people have done the work, but it is with the fourth person that something better is being done. So they said the birth of the English novel is to be seen in the first half of the 18th century. So in the first half of 18th century, novels were that people started writing novels. Novels came in the market. Dash in the work of these people. So can we say foremost means firstly, but they already said first half already were there. Essentially in these 3 people's works, primarily or above all. So above all is when you want to say this was the best one. And they say above all, this is what I like. But here the best person is yet to come. So we cannot say above all here. So it was primarily. Primarily means mainly in the work of these 3 people. So they say that the birth of novel happened in the first half of the 18th century, mainly in the works of these 3 people. But it was the fourth people that the novel, it is with this person that the novel dash its distinctively modern character. Novel is singular here. So we need a verb with S. So you should be first of all eliminating take over because it is without S, and deal with because again it is without S. It has to be deals with or takes over. Now we have 2 options. Novel takes on modern character, or novel turns up modern character. So novel, maybe there were some novels written in a different style, and when this person started writing novels, they took a modern character, means the character of the writing style became more modern. So it has nothing to match with turns up. The novel turns up modern character. No, we can say the novel takes on modern character, means it became more modern. In the dash treatment of unremarkable people in the unremarkable situations of everyday life. So this was simply based on context. What kind of treatment? We have genuine. So genuine means like genuine and artificial, like real and fake kind of thing. Close and open or close and far. Perfection, but we already have the noun treatment. We needed an adjective. What kind of treatment? So perfection is a noun, cannot be the answer. And based on what they said, situations of everyday life, so it would be realistic things being talked about in that novel. They were not talking about fantasy things or some things which is simply imagination. They were talking about how real life happens in everyday life. So it was a context based blank. In her 6 major novels, these are the names of the novels. Austen created the comedy of manners of middle class life in the England of her time. So this is what she talked about in her novels. And then they say it is this concentration dash character and personality. Now here I was not expecting you to write between. Whenever we use the word concentration or focus, what is the preposition we use? You have to concentrate on something. You have to focus on something. Do we really say concentrate between 2 things? If there are 2 things, how will you be able to concentrate? So you concentrate on things. So if you say between, that doesn't make sense with concentration between 2 things. That will be a divided thing. So you can say you have to concentrate on reading and writing module. Can we say you have to concentrate between reading and writing module? So as I always say, please frame sentences and find out how do you use this word in your daily life. So it is this concentration upon, because we don't have on, so we can simply go with upon, concentration upon character and personality, and upon the tensions between her heroines and their society, that relates her novels more dash to the modern world than to the traditions of the 18th century. So relates is the verb. So how do the novels relate? What is the word that goes with relate? Relates carefully to modern, relates closely, relates similarly, or almost. Similarly is not possible because there is than. So if two things are similar, why are we making a comparison? So we can say relate closely. So they say the novels relate more closely to modern world than to the 18th century. So conventional time period. Right, so these are the answers. The first one was a long sentence. You should have understood the writing style. Above all is not a good choice. Above all, you already have a person which has been highlighted later on. So it has to be the birth of the novel happened in the first half, basically or mainly in the works of these people. But this fourth person was the one which in whose novels came the modern character. So the novel takes on the modern character in the what kind of treatment. So they talked about everyday life situations, so we can say realistic situations or realistic treatment. Fourth one, we never concentrate between things, we always concentrate on things. It can be 2, 3, or 4, but we will use on only. So it will be upon because we don't have on here, and relates closely to one side than the other side, right? So meaning of foremost, how do we use the word foremost? We use it with first and foremost, means before anything else. That is the meaning of foremost, the first one basically. So these are the answers. Please put your doubts if you have any in the chat box. Yes, the novel is the subject in the second blank, Pinky. So it's in the novel dash, its character. Novel is the subject and takes on is the verb. So Nikhil, the third blank is completely based on context. They said modern character in the treatment of people in the everyday life. So everyday life would be realistic things were being talked about. Perfection is a noun. We needed an adjective here. Close treatment, how do we know the treatment was close or open? Or how do we know the treatment was close or far? We don't know what the novel was about. And similarly, genuine, how do we say it was genuine or artificial? Right? So in the second blank, novel is singular. So we need a verb with S. There were two options. Novel takes on character or novel turns up character. Turns up, novel turning up something doesn't make sense. Novel taking up a character makes sense. Like the writing style was modern. So it took up a modern approach. So in that sense, it is takes on, sorry. No worries. All good with this one? Anybody else with the confusion? Don't do these silly mistakes like concentration between. You can easily frame a sentence with concentration and you will come to know that I cannot use between in concentration. Okay, so we have the second question on the screen. 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, not more than that, please. And please put your answers once you are done. Be careful about time. Right should be done. This is an easy context. You could even understand the meaning, so it should take lesser time. And well done. Let's have a quick look at the answers for this one. When people talk about mitigation, they focus on fossil fuels. The very first time when you read the sentence, you should always read it without blank. That will tell you what you need, because if the sentence is complete without the blank, that will tell you that you either need an adjective or you need adverb. So that gives you a direction that what you should be looking at in the options. Like in this one, when we read, when people talk about mitigation, they focus on fossil fuels. A complete sentence, focus is a verb. That means we need adverb here. Out of the options, they again focus, but they haven't done any focus first. They much focus is grammatically wrong. They already focus. So again, already is wrong because we have just started the context. So we can say often, means generally they focus on fossil fuels, and then they have the names. You don't really need to read them. Then when these gases dash, they linger in the atmosphere. Or we can read from here, fossil fuels produce greenhouse gases, including carbon dioxide. When these gases dash, they linger in the atmosphere. Now we have to look at the tense. This is present tense because all of what they are discussing are facts. So fossil fuels produce greenhouse gases is a fact. It is not a tense-based thing. So when these gases dash, they linger in the atmosphere. So again, we need present tense. We don't need present perfect. We don't need future. We don't need past at all, because what we are talking about are facts, and facts are in simple present tense. So when these gases are released, they linger in the atmosphere. They then trap heat, again present tense, and warm the dash. So place, area, planet, or country, and all of you are right in selecting planet because you understood the context. Global warming or climate change is a planet-based problem we are facing. Some ways to mitigate climate change include using solar and wind power, dash coal-fired power plants. So solar and wind and coal, these are opposite things, like one are biodegradable, renewable, and non-renewable. So we want to use renewable things in place of non-renewable things. So on behalf of, no, we cannot say that. On behalf of is like, I'm taking the class on behalf of Language Academy. That's how we use on behalf of. Apart from adding, instead of is when you give the substitute, like in place of this, use this. That is instead of. The last one, so they use less electricity and fuel and designing cities, so people have to drive less. Dash forest and planting trees also help. So they have used ing form of verb. We should also use ing form of verb. Something that goes with forest. We have two things in ing, providing or protecting. We don't provide forest. We cannot do that. But yes, we can protect forest. So we'll go with protecting forest and planting trees. Easy question, right? Easy. When the questions are easy, that means when the context is understandable. Try to save time in that question for some questions which may have a difficult language. But again, don't miss to check the grammar simultaneously, because it can be quickly done in such kind of questions, but you have to. Because sometimes the language is so easy that the words very easily match with the other word, which is grammatically wrong, but it fits very well when you read it in a flow. So take a few seconds to just check grammar otherwise as well. Any doubts in this question, anyone? Apart from is like in addition to. So apart from is like I have 2 laptops apart from this one. So means I have this also, I have those also. That is apart from. Instead of means you're not doing the first thing, you have to do the second one. So I like tea instead of coffee, means I don't like the first thing, tea. I like only coffee. So third one is we are talking about planet as a whole, because we are not talking about one country, any area, or any place now. We are talking about climate change on the whole planet Earth, that how should we deal with climate change as a whole. So it should be These gases, they warm the planet. Right? Anybody else, any confusion? All good with this one, rest of you? All right, let's move ahead. So here goes your question number 3. And 2.5 minutes. Please check grammar. Please put your answers, do participate, ask your questions, and time yourself. It's very, very important. All right, anybody left to post the answer? What is instinctive talent, Lavisha? This is a new type of talent. Okay, let's look at the answers. In a list of child prodigies, this person is an interesting case. Her father, so I'm reading only the main things. Her father, we never read between commas. So giving the designation of father, name of father is not important. Her father was convinced that exceptional mental abilities were less a result of talent than of proper training. The sentence is complete. Talent is what? Noun. So we need adjective. What kind of talent? Inbred, not really used for human beings, used for animals because it has to do with breeding. So we don't use that word for human beings. Instinctive. So they said that exceptional means really good mental abilities were less a result of dash than proper training. Less a result of what kind of talent? Built in, again, built in robes like we have is used for infrastructure. And instinctive is no kind of talent, but inborn means innate. Something that you are born with is called inborn or innate. This we can use for human beings. So note it down if you did not know this. So he is saying that very good mental abilities, that is exceptional mental abilities, were less a result of innate talent, means it was not because of you're born with the abilities, it's because of proper training when you get exceptional mental abilities. He claimed he could turn any child into a prodigy and even wrote a manual called Raise a Genius. His ideas dash grandiose and outlandish at the time. So the sentence is not complete, but maybe less so when all three of his daughters turned out to be chess prodigies. So again, hyphen to hyphen is not required. So you can leave it when you're reading. His ideas dash grandiose and outlandish at the time means at that time, but maybe. So what tense are they using? Maybe means present form of modal. So we should also go with the same way. We should not be going with past tense or are sounded. So we should go with may have sounded like this at the time, but maybe less so when all his daughters turned out to be chess prodigies. Dash in an environment of constant chess practice, the sisters rocked the male-dominated world of competitive chess. So for human beings, can we say raised, brought? We say brought up. We cannot say brought only. Lifted, no, cannot be used for human beings. And supported, no. We can say raised, like we say I have raised my child with discipline. So that is raising of children or upbringing of children. But brought up, without up, we cannot use it here. So it will be raised in an environment of constant chess practice. They rock the male-dominated world of competition chess. Dash many to question. So this is what we normally do when you have a sentence, it completes and then you have a comma and there is further information given and you need ing form of verb there. So the previous sentence, if you read, it was a completely complete sentence. There's nothing incomplete. Still we have a comma and we need a verb to add on additional information. So this thing, when those three sisters, they played really well at chess, this thing allowed many to question, forced many to question, including cannot come, demanded many to question. So you have to think like, were they not allowed to question before their competition? Were they, did those people demanded to question? You can ask a question, you cannot demand a question. So it is this thing forced because earlier people used to think that chess is a male dominated kind of game. But when these three sisters, all three of them rocked, like they have said, rocked this world of competition, they were forced, like they could not control themselves, and they were forced to think that maybe we are thinking wrong all our lives. So that is forcing many to question the assumption that male players were naturally superior. Again, the sentence is complete. So what kind of assumption? We need an adjective to define the word assumption. Current or past, present is not assumption. Extensive assumption or intensive assumption. Widespread or common. So widespread and common are synonyms, and whenever out of 4 options you have 2 synonyms, you should prioritize them for your answer. Your answer is out of those ones, and the one which is more academic. Common is a common word, widespread is a better academic word, so we'll go with forcing many to question the widespread assumption that male players were naturally superior. Right, so these are the answers. The first one is because we are talking about human beings, we cannot say inbred, that is used with species or animals. So inborn means innate, something you're born with is called innate talent or inborn talent. And second was completely based on what tense they are using. They were using may, so we also went with may. His ideas may be something at that time, but they were maybe something at that time. And then we are talking about upbringing of children. So we said those 3 sisters, they were raised in an environment of chess practice. And we completed the sentence. There was a comma. We needed ing form of verb. So it was when they did this something really unexpected thing. So this thing forced many people, like they were forced to think that how come this happened. So forcing many to question the widespread assumption, because everywhere people used to believe or assume that no, only men are good at chess because it's their inborn talent. But these 3 girls, they proved them wrong. Right? Any doubts, anybody? Yes, Sahan. So Amitpal, it depends upon whether you need a verb or you need a helping verb or a modal. So claimed is a verb. If we would be looking for verb, we will also go with the same. But we were looking for modal verb, and modal verb may was in present tense. So you should go with that. So it also depends upon what element are you looking to fill, and you have to follow the same language for that element that they are following. Okay. Any other questions in this one, anybody? All good, rest of you? All right, so we have question number 4, 2.5 minutes. Please post your answers. Please time yourself. All right, should be done. Please post your answers, those who are left. Let's look at this. So the first sentence was quite confusing. If that happens with you in the exam, please make sure that you are getting an overall idea, not completely skipping, because sometimes it can have some important information. So at least know that what are they talking about? They're talking about Gulf Port, a port. They're having a country name. Then they have the length, 90 kilometers, and they're basically talking about where is it situated. And then Gulf Port is a port of entry in this place in Mexico. So just this much is enough. It was dashed in 1887 by this person. So it should be ED form because it's a passive statement. We have by here. So we are talking about it here refers to the port. The port was dashed in this year by this person as the site. So when you read the sentence for the very first time, always make sure that you're marking anything and everything which can serve as a hint. For example, by was important. That told me that I have to find ED form. And as is very important because that will match with my verb. So it was founded as the site for terminus of his Gulf and ship island. It was originated. So originated, it's a port. Port cannot origin by itself. It was derived. Again, derived does not go with port, and generated again goes with electricity. So this port was founded by this person as the site for these things. 1902, Captain Jones assumed the dash of the line, and he as his family helped develop the city. So assumed dash of the line. Conduct, control, function, and handle. What can a person dash off the line? So it's always in line, you get the control. If we get this. Sorry, where was I reading? In 1887, this port was founded by this person, and 1902, Captain Joseph, because that would be the other person. They have a designation of a captain. So they were made, that person was given the control of that line, means of that area. So he took the control of the line, and he and his family helped develop the city and harbor. In 1920s, Gulfport experienced a short-lived dash as a seaside resort after the Gulf Line was bought by the railroad. So here with a comes a noun. So we have to find the noun, and whenever we are looking for a noun, that means verb is given. So you always match your noun with the verb. You should find a noun which you can experience. Not all the nouns can go with the verb experience. This is also a way of finding the answer. So the Gulf port experienced something. So what does it experience? Flourish is not a noun. It can be a verb or an adjective. Improvement, but we cannot experience improvement. We do improvement. Increase is not again a noun. Boom is a noun, and also we can experience. Means the word boom can go with experience. Boom can be a jump kind of thing. So the Gulf port experienced a short-lived jump, a short-lived boom as a seaside resort. After this thing, following World War II, its resort hotel business grew dash. So following means after World War II, the business grew. So how did the business grew? That means we need ly adverb here. The business grew immediately. Doesn't make sense. Immediately would be like in next 1 minute. Enormously goes with size. Rapidly, swift, but we need ly, so swift will be eliminated. Out of enormous and rapid, we can say the business grew rapidly, means not much time, not in much time. It happened really quickly. And enormously would be like business grew very big. So they were talking about time here because the way the sentence started, that after World War II, it grew very quickly. And then in 1969, hurricane devastated the port, but the area was subsequently rebuilt. The city again dashed extensive storm damage. So we need a verb in past tense and a negative verb. So faces, bearing, managed, and suffered, only one option, which is verb, which is past tense, and which is negative. So suffered goes with damage. These are the answers. We'll go through it once again. This port was founded by, or we can say built by, this person. Second, somebody took the control, or somebody was given the control of that area, of that sea line. So it is assumed control. Third, it's something that goes with experience. So experienced a jump, can be experienced a boom in the business, and the business grew rapidly after the World War II. And the last one, suffered, goes with damage. And you can put your questions now. Any doubts you have? Good, Deepika, good going. Anybody who has a confusion in any of the answers? Third one, so we need a noun, because with a comes a noun. Short-lived is an adjective. So, and something that goes with experience. So out of the options, improvement and boom are two nouns, but improvement cannot go with experience. So what can go with experience is boom. That means jump or increase, you can say. So boom is like growth. Got it, Karam, Amit Pal, and Robbie? Originated, we can say this term originated in this year. We can say, what else can go with originated? This tradition originated in this country. So you can go with traditions, terms, this festival originated. So that can be origin, like started. Right? Okay. And question number 5. 2.5 minutes. Please post your answers once you are done. We have one more after this. So this is the second last for reading, writing blanks. Okay, post if anybody is left. Raj, be careful about your selections. The seasons on Earth change. So complete information, complete piece of information. The seasons on Earth change. Dash the planet is slightly tilted on its axis as it travels around the sun. The seasons on the Earth change because there is a reason given that how does it happen? Because the planet is tilted on its axis as it travels around the sun, this means different points on Earth receive more or less sunlight at dash times of year. So quite understandable. We receive, the planet receives different sunlight at different times of the year. Like that's why we have summer, winter, spring season. When it is, the sun is very hot, we receive too much of sunlight, and it's summer season. When we receive less sunlight, it is winter season. So it's at different times we receive different sunlight. If Earth were not tilted, the sun would always appear to be directly above the equator. The amount of light a given location receives dash be fixed, and there would be no season. So what tense are they using? This would have happened, this would have happened. So we'll also go with this would, and it makes sense also because this is not something which is happening. We are just assuming that if sun would be stationary or the planet will not be tilted, then this would be the case. The two solstices happen in June and December. These are the days when the sun's path in the sky is the farthest north or south from the equator. The hemisphere's winter solstice is the dash day of the year, and its summer solstice is the longest. So they have used third form of verb, and summer solstice is longest. So that means winter solstice will be the opposite, the shortest. So what we have here is yes, shortest. And then they say, this is when the North Pole is tilted closest to the sun and the sun's rays are directly dashed at the Tropic of Cancer. Even if you don't understand it from here, the next sentence made it very clear. The December solstice marks the start of winter. At this point, the South Pole is tilted. So it's just the opposite. North Pole is tilted, South Pole is tilted, closest to the sun, and the sun's rays are directly overhead at the Tropic of Capricorn. The sun's rays are directly overhead at the Tropic of Cancer. So they are just explaining the names of the positions change. Otherwise, the phenomenon is same. So this happens. Sun is overhead, but the place changes. So that is the difference between our December solstice and the June solstice. Right, quite an easy one. Should have been a full score, but still ask your doubts if you have any. No, distinct means different from others. That is the meaning of distinct. So when you are making a comparison of something and saying that that thing is different from others, comparing your thing with the other thing or comparing one thing with the other things, that is when we use the word distinct. Different simply means like things are not same. Right? So different times. Distinct would be something, a time which is different from rest of the year. That is distinct. The last one was just overhead based on the context. They say in June, it is overhead the Tropic of Cancer, and in December, it is overhead the Tropic of Capricorn. So they were just explaining what happens in June and what happens in December and where the sun is. Got it, Robbie? Any other questions about this, anybody? All right. And here we have the last question for reading writing blanks for today. 2.5 minutes for this. Please post your answers once you are done, and please time yourself. Are we saying he was far away of the technology? Did you read the complete sentence till the full stop? It's mistake if you're doing, or if you're not reading the complete sentence, please always do that. So here they say color television was by no means a new idea. In the late 19th century, Russian scientist, this person devised a system of spinning discs and some cylinders with slits covered by red, green, and blue filters. But he was far dash of the technology of the day's present technology, or till the time this thing was being written. But he was far dash of the technology of the day, semicolon, they are explaining what they meant. Dash, the most basic black and white television was decades away. Means when he did this thing, when he had these red, green, and blue filters already, he was thinking about colored picturization. At that time, even black and white television was not there, and it did not happen even for next so many decades. Means even before that time, he was thinking of having colored pictures. So he was ahead of the time. He was thinking quite ahead that the people of that time would be thinking otherwise. So he was far ahead of the technology of the day, dash the most basic. And why are we saying this? Even the most basic black and white television was decades away when he was doing this. And then the light source at the receiver was dash of two gas discharge tubes, one of mercury vapor and helium for the green and blue colors. So the light source at the receiver was dash off. What we have was consist of, was composed of, was detached of, was belonging of. So consist, we don't need helping verb when we use consist. We don't say this is consist of, we say this consists of. So we have helping verb here. That means consist cannot come because we don't use helping verb with that. But definitely we use helping verb with composed. This thing is composed of. So the light was composed of two discharge tubes. Detached doesn't make sense because you're explaining what it included. Detached means to take it away. And they have for green and blue colors and neon tube for red. Dash, the quality was quite poor. So whenever we have a connector between two commas, a blank between two commas, we need connector in that place, and we should always read it in the beginning of the sentence, because this word connects this sentence with the previous one. So it should be read in the beginning of the sentence. So in the previous sentence, they were all talking positive, that he had done so much of application of brain, that how the colors can come. But the negative thing was the quality was poor. So when we have contrasting information, we always go with however. So he did a lot of effort. However, the quality was not good. So that's why however came here. So the first one is completely based on that sentence. He was ahead of the technology of that time of the day. Because even black and white televisions came decades after when he was doing this colored picturization thing. And the second one, even, that comes in the same sentence. And the light source that he made was composed of these tubes of different colors, but the quality was poor. So because of but came however. Any questions, anybody? Instead of semicolon, answer. See, it's not right to think this way because comma is not possible here. If comma is there, that will give us some other piece of information, not the explanation. If explanation is given, then they will use something which means that there is explanation after that of the same thing. So it's not right to think of what if there would be a comma. We cannot really assume or expect that thing. Commas have different meanings, semicolons have different meanings, so they are used in their own places. Any other questions, anybody? There was this word aloof. I searched the meaning. I did not know that. We should note it down because it can be in the exam. Aloof means not friendly or forthcoming, means cool and distant. That is the meaning of aloof if you want to note it down. So you can write distant, not friendly, As an adjective, it means that. Good, very good. 25 plus is a really good score out of 29, 25 and 25 plus. Well done. Good, Riddhi. Okay, before we move on to reorders, any questions, anyone? Deepika, on the border. Should be 2 or 3 marks more, at least 2. Then you're going good according to your requirement, but 1 or 2 mistakes, you would also be knowing some silly errors you would have done. You might have done, not would have done. Well done, Pinky. I think it's improved than the last time, isn't it? Okay. Good. So we have the first question for reorders on the screen, and take only 2 minutes and 15 seconds, not 2.5. And put your answers in the chat box. 70% iPhone G, whatever your band score requirement, even if it is 8, it should be 80% correct. Okay, so the pairing is correct, but the positioning is wrong somehow. So what you have missed when you have done the wrong positioning is which sentence is more general and which is more specific. So you're talking about one particular trade, like East Indian spice trade, that is very narrower than talking about the whole involving into politics and then acting as an agent of British is very broad thing for that company. And then just talking about one trade, shouldn't it be narrower than the whole of the talking about the structure of the company? So it was the first sentence was where we have the name East India Company. All of you have got it correct. East India Company, English company formed for the exploitation of trade with East and Southeast Asia and India, incorporated by Royal Charter on December 31st, 1600. This is the topic. The second sentence was B, starting as a monopolistic trading body. This is the way we start to talk about something. We'll come first, then talking about one particular trade. This is very general, that starting as a monopolistic trading company, the company became involved in politics and acted as an agent of British imperialism in India from the early 18th century to the mid 19th century. More general things about that company. And then third one is D, which you have made correct, B and D. In addition, this was one thing it was made for. In addition, the activities of the company in China in the 19th century served as a catalyst for the expansion of British influence there. This was also another target that they were aiming. And then 4 and 5, the company was formed to share in the East Indian spice trade. Here we have the full trade, and then we refer to it saying that trade had been a monopoly of Spain and Portugal. Now see, if you put A and C first, so you are very narrow at a point that you are just talking about one East Indian spice trade. Talking about East Indian spice trade, and then you cannot go back to the whole that it started at this, it stepped into politics, and it was agent of British imperialism in India. Those are very broader things. But anyhow, since pairing is correct, should be fine. But this is the answer. Any questions, anyone? Those who have missed the pair of A and C, that is not a good thing. There was a complete reference, that trade, and here you have the name of the trade. So you should be referring that. Any doubts in this question, anyone? Right, so here we have the next question. Be careful, don't miss the hints. This, that, these are very important words for reorders. And broader and narrow. Very common rule which applies in all the reorders. Okay, should be done by now. So we are confused between A and D. If that happens with you in the exam, you should create questions on what is that sentence explaining about. Like the first sentence says, food security is measured at the household level and reflects limited access to food. The question for this will be, how is food security measured? Right? And if we read D sentence, according to the US Department of Agriculture, food security occurs when households are unable to acquire adequate food. This tells us what is food security. And out of what and how, what is broader? The answer to what is always broader than how. What gives you what is the topic? What are you going to talk about? And how tells us how that thing is done. So this helps us to find out the first sentence in case we are confused in two options. So the topic was given in D, not in A. They say, according to US Department of Agriculture, food security occurs when households are unable to acquire adequate food because they have insufficient money and other resources. This is what food insecurity is. And then you talk about how it is measured, because both are the parts of introduction. Food insecurity is measured at the household level and reflects limited access to food. So this was the case, DA, not AD, and that is how you can get your answer. And then we are left with three sentences. One we have, this is instead, so it cannot come. We have to give the substitute. And B will come first because B says this makes it different from hunger, which is a physiological condition experienced by an individual. So here we have the definition of hunger. Hunger is a physiological condition experienced by an individual. And here we only have the word hunger. So first we'll explain hunger, then only we'll talk about it. The USDA does not measure hunger in the US. So first we explained what is hunger, and then we say USDA does not measure it. And when they do not measure it, what do they do instead? Instead, the agency sees it as a consequence of people having limited access to food. So they don't measure hunger in the US, they see it as a consequence of having limited access to food. So instead plays a very important role here. And then this has definition. This only talks about measuring hunger. So that's again, which is broader. Definition is broader than saying we measure it or we don't measure it. Got it? Any doubts, anyone? So Amitpal, D is the first sentence because D tells you what is food insecurity and A tells you how it is measured. So how is never broader than what. What is always the broadest sentence, that what is the topic, what is the definition, and then how things are done or not done. So that will be secondary thing. Got it? No, because the word occurs is, you cannot say how it occurs. It is what it is. Food insecurity occurs when this thing happens, then we say it is food insecurity. So occurring is not kind of how it occurs. It's giving you the definition that when do we say that it is food insecurity. So that's the definition. So when, for example, we can say globalization happens when there is a trade between two different countries. So that will be the definition of globalization. Right? 4 and 5. So 4 and 5 is, they say the USDA does not measure hunger in the US because they think it's not any, you can say, what is it called? Any measure. Instead, they see it's just the result of people having limited access to food. So they don't measure it. They don't feel like it's a basis we should measure. So that is how they're related. And also it says the agency. So we should first name the agency and it. So we should first name hunger. Then we can say it here for hunger. So we say they don't measure hunger. The agency just sees it as a result of having limited access, so they don't measure it. Is it fine, Karam? And the last question for the orders, you only have 3 today. Two and a half minutes, less than 2.5 minutes, sorry, for this one. And please post your answers once you are done. All right, should be done. You're taking longer than expected. Please put your answers. Okay, we'll look at the hints for this one first. The storm spent less than 8 hours over land. So what elements do we have? One we have is the storm. We are talking about hours, and we are talking about land. The storm that would later become Hurricane Katrina surfaced on 23rd August as a tropical depression over the Bahamas, approximately 350 miles east of Miami. So here we have a date given, we have a distance given, and we are saying this storm that will later become Hurricane Katrina. So we have the name of the storm. Sustained winds of 70 miles per hour lashed the Florida Peninsula, and rainfall totals of 5 inches were reported in some areas. So this is the effects of what all happened. It quickly intensified when it reached the warm water. So here we are talking about waters. And it over the next 2 days. So over the next 2 days means we should talk about a date before this sentence. Only then we can say next days. How can we say next days when you don't have a previous day? So next 2 days means after a date, the weather system gathered strength, earning the designation Tropical Storm Katrina, and it made landfall between Miami and Fort. It was Category 1 hurricane, a storm that exhibits winds in the range of these kilometers per hour. So the first sentence was B because it has the name Hurricane Katrina. It has the date when it started. And then after that, just because of having date here and having next 2 days. So next 2 days, you should have a date, only then you can say next 2 days. So it will be E as your second sentence. It's simply connection, this date and next 2 days, this happened. Nothing about the difficult words that they used. And then we were talking about the miles and the kilometer. So we'll continue talking about that in C because that's the same topic going on. What was the range? What was the kilometers per hour? So we did that. And then we say it spent less than 8 hours over land. It quickly reached the waters. So we cannot say it reached the waters and then we cannot say it spent less hours on land. It spent only 8 hours on land. It quickly intensified. So it means the storm here. The storm spent less than 8 hours over land. It quickly intensified when it reached the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. So Gagan, what can be the first sentence according to you? So the B sentence, if you carefully see, the B sentence is the storm that would later become Hurricane Katrina surfaced on this. So the sentence is complete. It's not that it would later become Hurricane Katrina, but now we don't know what is it. If that's the case, then we can say it's the incomplete sentence. But they are saying the storm that later became Hurricane Katrina, that storm started on August 23 in this place. Next 2 days, it became more intensified because we have to link it with the time period and then continue with what happened in some areas and what happened in the other areas, right? So Pinky, C does not have the topic, so C cannot be the first one. No worries, no worries. Any other question, anyone in this particular reorder? Don't miss silly hints. You have to be very careful about. I can see a lot of you right not making the pair B and E, not bothered about where you make it, but you should have made it. It was very easy over the next 2 days. So you have a date only, then you can say the next 2 days. Out of nowhere, we cannot say next 2 days. All right, let's begin the reading blanks then. So here you have your first question on the screen, and please take only 2 minutes. Don't go till 2.5. 2 minutes, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. That should be your target here, and post your answers once you have solved. Okay, should be done. Please post your answers, those who haven't. Let's see what we have here. Some people have dash mental power, then they know what to do with. So then tells us it should be second form of verb here. Let's look for a second form of verb in the options. And only one second form of verb, which is more. So there was no option that we have. Some people have more mental power, then they know what to do with. Biographers report that at the age of 6, the American mathematician, this person was able to joke with his father in classical Greek. As a party trick, the pinch-sized prodigy would memorize pages, dash the telephone book. So telephone book is the source. Whenever we have the source written, we always select from. After from always comes the source of something. So he used to learn pages from where? From the telephone book, and answer questions, dash names, numbers, and addresses. So answer questions about, like we can ask what is the number of this person, what is the address of this person. So answer questions about these things, or just dash the page from top to bottom. So what tense are we in? We are in simple present tense. Memorize and then answer the questions, not answering or answered. So we should select present form of verb here. He would answer the questions or just dash the page from top to bottom. So just recite means just like we recite a poem. So right from the beginning till the end, we just in one go we say it, that is recite. So recite the page from top to bottom. As an adult, this person came to be regarded as the mathematician of his era. So mathematician is a noun. What kind of mathematician? Like eminent mathematician, popular mathematician. And we have preeminent here, so we should select that. And otherwise, we have only one adjective. None of the other words is an adjective that can describe what kind of mathematician he was. Responsible for major dash in mathematics, physics, economics, and computer science. So what can a person do in mathematics, physics, and economics? He can give his contributions in all these fields. So he was responsible for major contributions, that he means the major work that he had done in all these areas. Right? Any questions, anyone? So with then, we put second form of verb, Amitpal. So we have only one second form of verb, much, more, most. More is second form of verb. And third one is you always answer questions about, for example, ask me question about anything. So questions are always about the topics. Anybody else, any questions? Though I could see some of you doing blunders, selecting preeminent in the first blank. You're not noting down grammar, that's going to be very wrong in the exam. So when you read the sentence for the first time, please note down all the hints that you can see. All good with this one, rest of you? No other questions? Okay, so you have the second one on the screen. 2 minutes for this. Please post your answers. What are you writing? Sometimes you have to follow elimination, not selection, and you are completely not doing it. They said Trojan War and a comma means they are going to explain the war, that what the war is. Conflict between the early Greeks and the people of Troy in Western Anatolia. So what was the war? It was a conflict between these people. So the sentence is complete. The war, if we explain what was the Trojan War, it was a conflict between. So we really don't need any word, but yes, conflict is a noun. So we can explain the type of conflict. So any adjective will work. And if we look at the options, we have two adjectives. One is superior and one is legendary. Superior or inferior are not conflicts. So we cannot say this conflict is superior, this is junior or inferior. But we can say legendary because the conflict can involve a lot of legends, or it can have some very important things in it. So we can say legendary conflict between these two people, which happened in 12th or 13th century. The war dashed the imagination of the ancient Greeks more than any other event in their history and was celebrated in. So we need past tense here. Two past options, assumed and stirred. So go with the general understanding of the word assumed. Can the war assume the imagination of people? Assume is to be done by something. The war cannot assume that to imagination of some people. So what are we left with? Just one option, stirred, which we don't know how it is fitting, but we can clearly eliminate that assumed cannot fit. We cannot say the war assumed the imagination. The war stirred the imagination. What is the general meaning of stir that we know? Moved, right? So there can be some linking meaning that because of what something happened to the imagination, their imagination changed, or their imagination was kind of, we can say, moved in the sense that they changed it, or whatever they were thinking, they were shocked that that is not the case. That is also moved. But better than assume. The war cannot assume the imagination, but yes, the war can change or affect the imagination. So should go with stirred more than any other event in the history, and was celebrated in this and this dash a number of other early works. So it was celebrated in 1, 2, dash 3. 1, 2, and 3. And when we don't have and, what do we go with this? As well as. So it is celebrated in 1, 2, dash other works. That means this is still continuing. 1, 2, and other 3 were these works. It also dashed in the literature of the Romans. So most of you have written it also predominate. Do we use in with predominate? Predominate also is a verb. So if you want to use predominate, you should have a helping verb, which we don't have here. It is a predominate feature. Predominant is the right word. Predominate is not the word. So with it, you should be having a verb with S. We have only two verbs, one figures and one predominate. Predominate does not have S, so it cannot come with is. So it will be it figures. Very clear example of elimination. This is what you do in the exam, you know, when the context is difficult and we don't really understand what is the context, we do these kind of blunders in the exam, and this one question can cost you 4 marks, which is a big thing. So always make sure if something like this happens, trust on and focus on eliminations, not on selections. And it is going to be in the exam because, as I always say, they plan the exam. When they decide the questions, they try to put a blend of all types of questions. Good on vocab, easy on vocab, prepositions, collocations, connectors, grammar, active, passive. So they try to put everything, one black for everything. Some are difficult, some are easy. So you have to have a very wide approach, that this is which kind of question. How should I approach this question? You have to think like this. Don't take every question in the same way, that I just have to read and I will find the answer. It's not going to happen. Right? So be ready that what kind of reading this requires and what kind of method it requires. Any doubts in this question, anyone? Blank number 3 was it was celebrated in this and this. Dash a number of other works. Other works means these two were works. So we can say it was celebrated in work 1 and work 2 dash work 3, 4, 5. Other works means the same, no? 3, 4, 5 works. So you'll say it was celebrated in work 1 and work 2 as well as work 3, 4, 5. So that's how it is as well as. The last one is simple grammar rule. With it is singular, so the verb should have S. We have only one verb with S, so it will be it figures. It predominate, you cannot put, it has to be it predominates. Only then we can use it with it. Where do you want to use furthermore? Furthermore, Kalpana is used when you are putting one more point in addition to what you are already saying. So for example, you can say it is celebrated in this work, this work. Furthermore, it is celebrated in different cultures. So we have already talked about celebrated in works, and now you're giving one additional thing where it is celebrated, not an additional work. Then you cannot use, and furthermore always comes with a comma. It cannot come like this in between a sentence without with the next sentence making sense without comma. So as well as can have comma if it comes in this way, that and is already written and then you want to add further things into it, then you can use as well as before with the comma before. The first one, we needed an adjective, like what kind of conflict it was. So we have only two adjectives, superior conflict, but that's not the word we use for describing conflicts. So we can say legendary, because it is, if it is a war, it would be involving so many legends into it. So we can say legendary, something to remember, some great events must have happened during that war. So that would be legendary. Right? Is it clear now? And be ready for such things in the exam. I am telling you again, it is going to happen. Now you have to decide which way you want to approach the question there. Okay, question number 3 and 2 minutes for this. Please post your answers once you are done. Okay, well done. This says, the first step in knowing how your electronic device works and dash with the airplane. So works, we have a verb with S. Here also we need a verb with S, and that verb should match with the word with. So let's look at the options. We have interacts with S, we have takes, we have depends. But what matches with is interacts comes with, depends comes with on, and takes is a very general connector, can be takes in, takes on. But we are talking about electronic device. So electronic device works and connects with the airplane. Generally speaking, dash connect to a wireless network or cellular telephone tower. This was just to complete the sentence, and yes, you have done well. In order to connect to a wireless network, the devices become low power radio wave transmitters that link to cellular towers and other receivers that dash the signal outward. So receivers, plural, so we need a verb without S. So what we have without S is only one verb, carry. So it will be carry the signal outward. But they also become receivers to receive signals. So but means we are going opposite. We were talking about outward here. So this should be inward. But they also become receivers to receive inward signals. But if we look at inwards, it is with S, and we cannot put inwards with signals. It has to be inward signals, like they said, outward. So receivers to receive, what we have instead of inwards is inbound. Inbound also means like inwards only. This is number 3. So it will be inbound signals. If the tower or other receiver is already close by, the device does not have to use as much power to search for the tower signal and maintain the signal dash the tower and the device. So there are two things: maintain the signal between the two things, the tower and the device. So very good, very well done in here. Those of you who have written takes in number 3, you're missing on simple basic grammar thing. Noun is plural. We need a verb without S. Any questions in here, anyone? Any doubts, any questions, you can please ask. Well done, Alicia, going good. Okay, we have the second last question for today, question number 4. And you have 2 minutes for solving this. All right, should be done by now. Rajiv, please read the complete sentences. Dash or not, you believe that Santa Claus is a real person. So we generally say whether you believe or not, but this is the thing. So whether we have in capital letters, whether you believe or not, Santa Claus is a real person who enters every child's house by way of a chimney to leave presents. The legendary figure and the tradition of gift giving can be dashed to the Dutch colonists. So whenever we want to say how something started in history, we always use the word trace back. And with B, it should be past form. So with B, traced back to the Dutch colonists. When they settled in the New York City during the 17th century, they bought their legend of Santa Claus and the dash of leaving presents for children. So with of, we put a noun before of. So what we have as noun here is habit or custom. So this is not a habit, this is a tradition or custom. So we'll go with custom here. The custom or the tradition of leaving presents for children on the eve of December 6th. From there, such 19th century literary works as the poem known as this and the mid 20th century Coca-Cola ad campaign transformed Sinterklaas dash a saintly bishop. Normally we put transformed with into, but if you have read just two words ahead, you'll come to know that to is already written. So we cannot say into this to this. That doesn't make sense. With to comes from this to this. So transformed Sinterklaas from a saintly bishop to the white-bearded, red-capped Santa Claus that Americans dash today. So today means it has to be present tense. Americans is plural, so we need a verb without S. And we have two. Americans know today or Americans recognize today. So it will be Americans recognize. It's not like we know or we don't know Santa Claus. It's how we recognize Santa Claus today is in this form, that it's red cap, he's wearing red cap, he has a white beard. So that is the recognition that he is Santa Claus. Right? Very good, Deepika. Any questions, anyone in this particular blank? No doubts, all good with this one? Last one. So they said this ad campaign transformed Sinterklaas into a saintly bishop. From a saintly bishop to the white bearded, red capped Santa Claus that Americans recognize today. Because this is how we recognize that this person is the Santa Claus, by these features, that he should have a white beard, he should be wearing red cap. So that's how we recognize Santa Claus today. And we have the last question on the screen. Just 2 minutes for this. Don't worry, Tejal, you are all prepared. There's nothing that you can forget. Just don't forget your confidence to take along in the exam. Rest everything is going to be good. Make sure you're managing time. You're not getting nervous, not getting anxiety. It should be just like, okay, I know what to do and how to do as well. So just keep in mind all the feedback that you have got till date and apply all those things in the exam. And even if one or the other thing goes wrong, it should be like, okay, it doesn't matter. We have seen it with number of students, 1, 2, 3 things cannot make you fail. It's when because of that one thing you mess up 3, 4, 5 other things, then it's a problem. Just make sure you are well prepared and you can do it. All the very best from all of us. Okay, should be done. Please post your answers, those who haven't. Alicia, what is the noun in the last sentence? Could you please help me find that? So we have done a number of times. The word written before of is the noun, and you have to check the word written before of is singular or plural, and based on that you select your verb. One more, Kalpana, also with coordinate. So taxi, cab, automobile, available dash hire. So we always say available for hire. Something is available for hire. To carry passengers between any 2 points dash a city or its suburbs for a fare determined dash a meter. So any 2 points within a city, inside of a city, we don't really hire a taxi cab between two cities generally. Within a city or its suburbs for a fare determined, and we determine the preposition that we use is determined by. The taxi cab is named dash the taxi meter, an instrument invented by this person. So named goes with named after. Whenever we want to say that how or from where we have got the name, we always say named after. It generally is named after this person, like Australia is named after this person who discovered it. That's how we use the word named after, but it can be very rarely for things as well, like here taximeter. The term cabs derives dash the cabriolet. Derives always come with derives from. The development of modern taxi cabs closely dash that of automobiles. And here the noun is development. Always the word written before of is the noun. So development is singular, so we need a verb with S. So it will be parallels. Please don't do this in the exam. These are basic rules now. Singular, plural, S, ES. This is not where you can afford to make a mistake. Not reading complete sentences. Not finding out what is the noun before selecting the verb because it looks good to you, because you feel that is correct. These are not enough reasons for selecting something. Have a logical basis for selecting something and eliminating something, right? So Amitpa, last sentence, the noun is singular, development. The word written before of is always the noun. The development dash that of automobiles. The development parallels that of automobiles. So we need a verb with S. Coordinate is without S. It can only come when it says the developments. Then you can have verb without S. So there are lots of things to learn. Almost a lot of things are repeated that we do in every class, but still you again repeat the mistakes after every class. So make sure you're writing down these things at one place so that it's easy for you to go through them in one go, and then you practice keeping that in mind. Okay, so these were all the questions that we had to do today. I hope this would have been helpful and you might have learned something new and noted something new for yourself. Please try to apply these things and be careful about time management. Right? So those who do not have any doubts or questions, yes, you're free to leave and I'll see you tomorrow. We do have a class tomorrow. Please do come back, practice something with us so that you can learn some new things. So those who are going, bye-bye, take care, good night, and come back tomorrow. And those who are not going, you can please put your questions.